Welcome to an episode of Building Bridges of Understanding, Muscatine's Sister Cities, devoted to our sister city relationship with Drohobych, Ukraine. My guests today are Walter Conlon, who's been to Drohobych many times, and Marshall McDonald, who's been to Drohobych several times. Walter was a president of, unless I'm mistaken, president of this Sister Cities organization in 1999-2000, the minutes said.
Well, that's highly possible. I don't remember. It's all one big blur to me at this point.
And Marshall has been a board member since about that same period, I think, off and on?
Off and on.
Mostly
yeah.
on?
Right, yep. I don't remember how many years now.
And you guys have both been instructors at Muscatine Community College.
Well, yeah, but he got paid for it. I was a what they call a adjunct professor.
Yeah, I taught at the college for 33 years, started in 1980 and retired in 2013.
People don't have careers like that anymore.
No, they don't. It's very unique. I was lucky.
Yeah, well,
and Walter, are you retired officially from?
Yeah, I'm retired.
Practice of law.
Practice law, and I was kind of understating it. I really enjoyed it. I taught for about 10 years in business law every Tuesday and Thursday morning, and it was really a lot of great experience. Hopefully for the students, but also for me, because having to teach a subject means you have to master it, and it really helped me in the legal business, knowing business law inside and out.
And you're a guy who knows Ukraine inside and out because you've been going there since early 90s?
Yeah. My first visit there was Christine, that's my wife, and I were there in 1993, and I believe it was in June. It was our first trip there. And I immediately fell in love with the place and have been back roughly every year since then.
Some people have literally asked, to have a sister city, does it have to be your relatives, have to be your sister? And in your case, you knew these folks.
It would be my second cousin who actually suggested this, because he had been with me to our sister city in Poland, Łomża, and he said, we need to set up a sister city of Drohobych and Muscatine. And I said, well, you will need a committee on your part to do it. And he says, I'll have it organized tomorrow. So he set it up, and around 1998 or so, I believe it was set up, and it's been very particularly active in the last couple of years.
And you took the ball and ran on this side.
Well, I was his contact.
Let's put up a couple pictures that show us where we're talking about. That's the map of Ukraine, and down there we've got the Black Sea, and the stripes are Crimea, which is part of Russia now.
And it's in controversy.
Again.
Say again.
And over there you see Drohobych near the Polish border, Romania to the south. I think that's Moldova, the little slice in between there?
The little slice, little slices of Moldova, and there's also a little part of, I believe that's Hungary there. Moldova is...
the little corner.
No, Moldova is to the east of Romania, between Romania and Ukraine. And in the far left you see a small part of Hungary and Slovakia there, to the bottom left of Drohobych.
So as you see, Drohobych is not closely related to the Russian part of Ukraine.
No. Ukraine is kind of an interesting situation in that it has a lot to do, very similar to Ireland in a way, not only just because that they first obtained their independence in modern times in the last century, but also because in both Ireland and Ukraine, their native nationalism was hindered by, in effect, substantial minorities who were not interested in a Ukrainian state. As there were in Ireland, substantial minorities in Ireland that were not interested in an Irish state.
Now we have a list of the sister cities. Drohobych has relationships with a few sister cities, and two of them are in the USA. What's the deal? Because I thought there was a rule that you only have one per country.
Well, apparently we're falling behind Poland, which has 4.
I think the same rules don't apply to everybody.
Well, but Poland is very interested in Ukrainian independence for obvious foreign policy reasons.
Actually, it turns out that our Russian sister city, Kislovodsk, also has 2 signs at their city hall. It turns out that Muscatine shares a relationship with Paterson, New Jersey, and there are a lot of people from the Northern Caucasus in Paterson. So there's a lot of this going on.
Buffalo, there are a lot of Ukrainian immigrants in Buffalo, and the connection is obvious.
And in Muscatine, we have Walter.
Have me and Marshall, and we also have. So when they
and you've been bringing folks. Let's get into that.
Okay, Yeah, a couple of my cousins I brought over to go to school here, and one of them unfortunately was killed last summer in a motorcycle accident. But the other
Young man.
young man, yes, and it just he apparently tried to run a red light and lost control, or an orange light you might call it. The other one, my other cousin who I brought over, she's married to an American. She's an American citizen, lives in the suburb of Des Moines. Three beautiful granddaughters.
And through the law firm, you've had a variety of interns and
yes, we've had
students.
interns. There was a program a few years back called SABIT, which was Special Business Intern Training Program, where I brought some Ukrainian lawyers and bankers to come and work in our office for a while to learn how the American mortgage system works.
And then we've had a relationship with a university or a school.
Well, Marshall knows more about that.
Yeah, I got involved with the Ukraine connection back in about 2000. The college, actually through Walter and what he had already talked about with the connections that he had at Drahovich, the dean of the college, Jeff Armstrong at the time, was able to get a grant through the college to go there and work with Drahovich University on developing economic development, everything from doing business plans for businesses in Drahovich to working with the professors at the university and teaching various subjects like economics or business,
And
finance.
does that continue in some way?
It continued for quite a while. I think that grant lasted for about 10 years, and various people went over the years doing their part.
And
A
your
lot of
your travel
faculty-
was related to that.
Right, a lot of faculty and staff and administration. Each of us took on a different part based on what our specialty was and what we taught. I teach a lot of business classes when I taught agriculture here at the college, and I taught sales and customer relations. So we lectured at the university, and then of course we had to have translators or interpreters.
And I learned from Jeff Armstrong you got an honorary doctorate out of the deal.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I just saw Jeff yesterday, and I think it would be good if we all went back together.
Mm-hmm.
He looks forward to going back too. So you develop
Because
relationships.
you make a lot of friends over there.
Yeah, it's just like Walter said. You fall in love with the place. It's and the people. They're very gracious. They make sure that you're comfortable. Their culture is very interesting. Their history is very interesting, and you just get emotionally involved in the culture and the people, and they make you feel at home, and you meet so many people, and they invite you into their home, and you learn about their culture. Rather than staying in a hotel or a motel somewhere, you're able to actually stay with the families. And even though I had gone about 4 times
And likewise
in a
when they
row.
come here.
Right. And so you do the Sister Cities mission. You develop a friendly relationship with not only the government personnel, but the educational personnel and the community, the people within the community. So it's
Let's look
just
at some
wonderful.
pictures and see some of our friends there. Couple of pictures. Yeah, speaking of the culture, I found this in our collection of Sister City pictures from some kind of a culture day at the college here. Sister Cities organization had a different table for each, and that was the Ukraine table one year.
Of course, everyone recognizes the pisanki, the famous Ukrainian Easter eggs, but the
Thank you for, would you pronounce that again, Walt?
pisanki. Pisate in Ukrainian means to write, so they're basically they're drawn on eggs.
I see.
I believe that club there,
yeah.
pictured at the bottom, isn't that called a bulava?
Bolvar. It was the symbol of authority of the Ukrainian
Like a mace?
hetman. No, it was the symbol of authority. It's shaped like that, but it basically, instead of the Ukrainian hetman, instead of wearing a crown, or maybe in addition to wearing a crown, I don't recall, that was basically the idea of state power. And for a while there, a substantial part of Ukraine was independent between the the 17th and in the latter part of the 17th and the 18th century, there was a semi-independent Ukrainian state, and that was
Usually part of somebody's empire.
well, yeah. Basically, the prior to 1654, the Ukrainians were under Polish rule, largely under Polish rule, and then they transferred their allegiance to the Russian Tsar on the grounds that they'd have local autonomy, but that didn't last too long because Catherine the Great basically snuffed that out in the latter part of the 18th century and put them under the same rule as everybody else in Russia.
And that was another one from the Sister Cities collection.
Yes.
Mickey Tripp there has also been a president of our organization, and
Yeah.
this is a student from Drahobich, I think.
Yeah, she played in the orchestra for a year or for half of a year.
In the municipal orchestra.
Yeah, and Mickey's apparently granting her. So her name is Helena Motichak.
Uh-huh.
And what she's doing these days, I believe she's in the United States, but we have not kept contact.
We do have some pictures where you've kept contact. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
let's get into your narration, and we have a lot of pictures, so just tell us very briefly.
At the far end of the table, the redhead, her name is Roma Shimina. She is my second cousin, and she has been basically the engine to keep the thing going. Her brother, who has set it up, died a few years back, and Roma took it over, and she has really revived the relationship, which had been semi-dormant. These people here are all in one way or another involved with the equivalent of the county government, with the exception, of course, of myself. The far right is Mihailo Sikora. He is the head of, in effect, the county council. And members of the council are there. Mikola Andreev, Nadia Kozar, the gal going from the left. She works for the county administration. Mr. Shutko with the mustache, he is also on the board. I believe that's Yura back there, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, Yura.
Some of these faces I know we see again over the years. We see again and again.
They were here in 2015, and then of course myself. Apparently, just having a lunch to discuss things and how we can improve the relationship. This guy was an intern in my office. His name is Dmitro Fedoruk, and he is now a partner at a big law firm in Kiev, and he is specializing in international business and mergers and acquisitions. He's a big man in the Ukrainian legal scene, and whether by working in my office he got his break, I really do not know, but I could see from the beginning he was a self-starter. Real great guy.
I meant to mention at the beginning that our plan is to have a YouTube channel for Muscatine Sister Cities Association, and once we get those videos out there, then it's important to identify some of these people because they can tune in and watch our show.
If I look pretty hungover, it's actually because I was pretty well jet lagged at that time. I think it was my first day in Kiev, and I still hadn't gotten used to the change.
I wasn't going to
times.
bring up hangovers.
Well, I'm really jet lagged over in this picture. Okay. This is his name is Yaroslav Dub. He was here in 2005, and he and his wife are singing duet. And he also is in the background. He has a school of this is not him, his school, but his office is in a building, and they have they train young musicians. And again, that's my cousin Roma with me, with Mr. Dub. Well, we've seen this one before. Okay, now these are a bunch of kids at a school, and which school this is, I don't know. This may be at Unyatici, which is a rural school that we've kind of adopted. And the kids are all want to take their picture taken with the visiting American. And here is, again, this is definitely the Unyatici school. You can see my cousin Roma there in the background, talking with teachers and some of the kids, presumably in the English language
who's
class.
the portrait? It's not George Washington. It's not Lenin.
It's probably Taras Shevchenko. He's the national poet.
Hero or
Yeah.
poet of Ukraine.
Yeah. Or excuse me, that's Ivan Franko, who is the poet of Western Ukraine, okay? And here, this is, I believe, in front of the Drahobich City Hall. If it's if it's the occasion I recall, this was in approximately 2005, and a Ukrainian woman who lived in Muscatine for a while, Vera Babich, came to us to Kiev to help us translate, and they asked somebody to go up and give a speech, and Vera told me, no, I'm not going to do it, you're going to give it, because Vera grew up speaking Russian. She didn't grew up speaking Ukrainian. I think she was too embarrassed to do it, but you know, I guess I'm shameless, and I went up and gave the speech.
In your Ukrainian?
In my, you might say, rudimentary Ukrainian. I speak enough to get by. Another one of my interns in the office, Hennady Kostetsky, is I believe he was a banker, and I think he's got a different job these days. He is in Truskovets, which is a resort city next to us, and he was in our office, I believe, in 2006. I just saw him a few days ago, in fact. He's really interested because he's trying to trace his great aunt or something who moved to the United States and see if he can locate his American cousins. And again, here is me and my two cousins and the daughter. My cousin Dara on the left, she's the one who has a daughter who lives in Des Moines and three granddaughters, and she's flying. I think she just arrived. She arrived last night. She flew there. Cousin Oksana is Roma's daughter, and that's Roma again in the back. And the woman on the right, whose name is Nadia Parashchak, she and her family now live in Chicago, but for a while they lived in Muscatine. Mm-hmm. And this is a gentleman who was in Muscatine on a journalist trip. His name is Ivan Tichy. Tichy in Ukrainian means quiet, and you can see he's closed-lipped at the moment. And here's a picture of me in front of a statue of Yuri Derhovich, who was kind of a medieval or Renaissance man, maybe Renaissance-era Renaissance man from Derhovich. This gentleman's name is Volodymyr Relich. He's an attorney from a town called Kherson, which is on the main river of the country is Dnipro, and close to the mouth of the Dnipro is Kherson. And he was in my office under a government program for a month in 2014, and he was eager for me to see Kherson. I'm glad I went. Here's Dima and his son and my wife and me right in front of my house. Dima brought his son over to visit about 10 years after he had been over there. He missed Salvatore's pizza. Especially Salvatore's anchovy pizza. He fell in love with Salvatore's anchovy pizza.
Again, these are lifelong relationships.
Yes, yeah. Okay, and again, this is so that was his then girlfriend, Marina. They're no longer together, and here we are, indulging his passion at Salvatore's pizza.
You've been good for Salvatore's business over the years.
Well, I appreciate their product, all right? And now the guy on the left is some stranger I don't recognize. Marshall, maybe
making a presentation of some sort.
Yeah, okay. And then with him is Mr. Sikora.
I'm presenting him with our sister city's gift. I gave him a picture of the bridge overlooking, the river out here.
Yeah. And the guy sitting next to me his name is Vasil Romanyak. He is a doctor. And he carted us around quite a bit, and we'd hope to see him sometime in Muscatine. Again, here's our group. I think, Marshall, you probably want to talk about the lady you're talking to there.
Okay. As you look at the picture on my left, her name is Olenka, which in English is Helen. She was a translator that came here. She came here with Peter and Murin. I don't remember the year, 2012 maybe, as a part of our...
Probably more like 2002.
Could be.
Yeah.
You guys have made too many trips.
Yeah.
She was a part of the grant that we got in the faculty exchange. So some of the members of the faculty there came here. She was an English teacher there at the Derhovich University, and she acted then as the translator. Now this picture is obviously in Ukraine, but Olenka is very intelligent, very capable, and has since gotten her PhD. And she is doing very well there in Drehobich with her husband Roman, and every time we go to Drehobich, we always make sure that we see Alenka and her family. In fact, last time I was there, I stayed with them in their apartment. And this is a very typical friendly setting that you would see when you travel to Ukraine. You know, you've got the kind of a gazebo type setting where you're outside near the river. They serve water, they serve beer, they serve tea. They'll have a number of different courses, and the whole time you're visiting, and you can ask questions about their educational system, their religion, how they different employment opportunities that they have, and the time just flies because it's just absolutely fascinating. They're just such wonderful people.
Is this a river?
I believe this is a lake.
Yeah, this is a little lake.
Is there a river through Drehobich?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Drehobich got its start because they had salt mines there, and then back in 925 years ago, salt was a very precious commodity. And now, of course, in fact, when they say he's worth his salt, it's because the Romans paid their soldiers in salt.
And you probably ran into the bread and salt greeting.
Oh, yes, definitely. And here we are in a park. The statue is a guy by the name of Ivan Franko, was kind of as I mentioned, the poet of Western Ukraine. And this is a park which has a whole bunch of wooden statues of the characters of his various stories that he told. And again, there's Olenka and Sikora, the head of the county council. And is that Vasil in the back there, the doctor? I don't recognize who was standing right by the statue.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Okay, and here we are again.
This is Olenka's parents.
And
Our mother's in the background there, and her father's on the left.
Yeah.
And on the left, just behind the gentleman on the left there, that is Alex or Sasha. He was the coordinator that worked with the college to coordinate all of our activities when our community college was working with them. He coordinated.
Take students over there?
We did.
Jeremy Pickard did.
Jeremy Pickard did later because he got a Troika grant to do that. That's right. I didn't, and during my project, we didn't take students. It was a faculty exchange. And again, basically, it was for economic development.
Professional counterpart
Right.
kind of thing.
This is our sheepfield trip, isn't
That
it?
right. And Marshall is, as the agricultural professor, he probably can tell you a lot more about this. It's a big farm of sheep and goats.
I could not believe outside of the city that there was any place that had 5,000 sheep on one farm, and they have it, and they're all enclosed, and it's very up to date.
Was this a former collective farm or state farm?
No, it was a new investment adventure for.
Yeah,
So, or joint public-private or?
the guy who owns it is Russian, and he has partners in Austria because they're finding in Austria the land is so valuable they can't use it for grazing anymore. But Ukraine has a lot, especially Western Ukraine, which is more suitable in many cases for grazing than it is for agriculture, that they can graze the animals a lot cheaper there than they can in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
There I am observing my apple tree that they planted on
Yeah,
our behalf.
this is a town. This is
Looks like you're being observed too.
we were always being observed. Yeah, we're the strange Yankees who come there.
Somehow or other they recognize that we're not from around there.
The school there this is a town called Unyatici, which is about maybe 5-6 miles outside of our sister city. My cousin Roma is a very good friend with the director, Stepan Makar, And Makar wanted us to adopt the school, and we will go there every year, and we'll usually leave him a contribution. And the next year he'll show us what he did with the contribution. So there they have very eager students, they have very competent faculty, they have no money. I mean, it's just the country, given the fact that they're at war, has meant that they don't have money to spend on schools, and so they struggle along, and any help we can give them is really appreciated over there.
This is the,
It's in a church.
yes, and this is the church across the street from that school that we walk down to.
Okay. Yeah,
And this is a Ukrainian Orthodox?
the Ukrainian Catholic Church it is. You have in Western Ukraine, especially around Lviv and Drahobych, most of the people are Catholic, but they're not Catholic in the sense of Roman Catholic. It's called the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, and while they recognize the Pope, they have married priests.
Is this the Uniate?
Yes, that's commonly known as the Uniate. They were suppressed under this. Both the Tsars and the communists suppressed the Ukrainian Catholic Church. But as soon as Ukraine obtained its independence, in fact, before it became its independence, they reopened, and a lot of the Orthodox priests who were allowed to have churches back then announced that they were secretly Greek Catholic all along anyway, and you might say resumed it. So you'll see Greek Catholic churches just about everywhere in Western Ukraine, or in the Lviv region.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are with some students, and I'm trying to think, that's a link in the back, isn't it?
No, you and I went there.
Do you remember what
Yeah,
school?
yes, I think your left hand is
Yeah.
Olenka, yeah,
And the rest of the people.
but a different Olenka.
So again, a school.
Yeah, a different school, but I don't remember exactly what it is. But they're all eager to meet people, and they're all eager to practice
Practice their English.
Practice their English, you betcha. Almost as eager as I am to practice my Ukrainian.
That's in a lot of cases about as technical as it gets. Is a blackboard or a green board, chalk, desks, and maybe some books.
Computers much?
One of the projects we did as a college is we actually did install and get computers for them so that we could put in a computer lab for them at the university.
And here's the bread and salt,
Yeah.
which is the traditional greeting for visitors in Ukraine. It'll be bread and there'll be salt corns in it.
And then your friends.
Yeah,
Yep.
Apparently.
And this happened to be on Mother's Day, and it was a very special day I'll never forget because the children came out and welcomed us. Then they proceeded to put on a concert for us. They sang, they danced. We were presented with all these flowers and the friendship bread, and then we ate a full meal. Then the children sang and danced for us. They planted the trees for us. It was an all-day event. It was the best Mother's Day I can remember ever going to.
Yeah.
I can see why you'd go back for more special treatment.
Okay.
It's just wonderful.
All right, and here, this is
This is not in
No.
Western Ukraine.
This is Kiev, and this was where the revolution that overthrew the pro-Russian president occurred, and as you can see, it got pretty